Welcome to the Genesis Healthcare Podcast, where we go beyond the traditional office visit to explore what it truly means to live with optimal health. Each episode brings you candid conversations with our Genesis providers and featured guests from across the health and wellness space, covering everything from primary care and prevention to aesthetics and lifestyle optimization. Whether you're ready to take control of your health through a Genesis membership or explore treatment options to look and feel your best, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Ready to begin your journey to better? Visit thegenesisdifference.com to schedule your first appointment or aesthetic consult today.
I'm JC. I've been here for about 6 years now. I'm a PA on staff, so pretty
I know you very well because you take care of my dad.
That's right.
I'm Christy Torbett. I started at Genesis working officially here in October of last year with their business membership.
Cool.
So as my role for businesses, the main thing
You got
that I've
the
tried to
first
get
one
across to them, because they don't know, is that we offer group memberships for businesses and their employees. So what that means is based on your number of employees that you have, that determines what your monthly membership is. That can be the employee, their family is also a part of that. All grouped in to that number. So when I go to businesses and I tell them about our membership, it is, mainly like how many members do they have, employees, and then we go into, what our membership is and what it offers.
Sure.
So I think
Awesome.
part of what you get.
That's what I
you
do the whole
become
time, so
a member
it's-
here is a big question that we get, and that from a patient standpoint
Or as a provider, what I see is, obviously the services that we offer, and so that is pretty much just like going to a normal doctor, if you want to call it that, but you get the benefit of contact with us 24/7 if needed, especially for those urgent, needs, after hours needs, those types of things. You get that. I think a big part of that is you get a better relationship with your provider because we're able to take care of everything essentially. Instead of you having to go to urgent care or, another after hours clinic, you're able to get in with us. You see the same person every time, or at least the same, group of people instead of going, a different door, a different provider every time. So I think that's a big part of it. Just that continuity of care that you get.
So with that, what I love is the fact that a lot of these employees can't come into the office and they are able to text you.
Absolutely.
And or do a telehealth and be like, hey, I'm not feeling well, got to get into work. And you're able to just be like, hey, let me call you in a script or swing by and you can get an antibiotic shot or whatever. And I think that's the thing that they love the most.
Absolutely.
Just that 24/7 access.
I agree. I mean, and that makes it convenient for, for the average person because, you've got kids, work, life, everything. You don't have time to go wait 2 hours at a doctor's, office and sit in a room all day long when you have life going on. And so that ability to come in and, a 5-minute visit and getting taken care of and, get back to what you need to be doing is a big benefit. I agree.
And a lot of these employees, based on what they've had before, they don't have the time
Sure.
to come in and do those yearly exams or whatever. So because one, they have the copay, they have to take PTO, and this has been just one of those that's a lot easier just to have the access and you don't have to worry about extra cost.
Absolutely.
And the copays. So a lot of companies that I've gone into, some of them can't offer anything because they can't afford the premiums and going into traditional insurance. So this has been a great opportunity for them to be able to offer something to their employees and a benefit that they can use. Some of those companies have less than 12 members, but it offers a valuable thing for them to attract new employees because, again, it's a benefit that they can offer.
So being an employee here, I'm sort of a behind the scenes DPC member, if you will. But, so I get to see that from a personal standpoint as far as like the care that I get. Like if I'm sick, I'm able to get something quickly and taken care of. So I don't miss out on taking care of patients, and so since that's something we offer to other businesses, but we also offer to employees here, I can firsthand see the benefits and, what a difference that makes.
Yeah. with our bigger businesses, this has been great because they've been able to change their plan where it's not like go without insurance, but they can get like a high deductible and use us as like their gap or, just their everyday and urgent care needs. So 80 to 90% of their time and use is with us, and then they use that catastrophic or high deductible plan, so that they can lower their premiums and use that money to reinvest in their company or do other things with.
Absolutely. So an example I have of I guess a benefit or the efficiency that you get whenever you sign your employees up with us is, there's a local company that not far from us that has several employees that, whether they work, some of them are office jobs, some of them are more physical, but, on several occasions we've had little things happen where these guys got a cut or something like that. Mm-hmm. Instead of going and waiting all day in the ER and, going through workers' comp and all this crazy, madness, we were able to get them over here within, 30 minutes of them shooting us a text and get them cleaned up, sewed up, and, probably not back to work, but at least, where they were stable and taken care of so they could get back to work quicker mm-hmm. down the road. And instead of, losing a whole day of being out of the office or, finding another thing they could do. Or, I know one of the first businesses that I started taking care of, after I took care of one of their employees, the owner actually called me the next day and just thanked me for the quality that we had presented, because not only did, I take care of this guy, but I followed up with him on a Saturday to make sure he was feeling better, and that really impressed them, because they've never had, anybody in the medical field take that extra step, and it was a 30-second text message was all it was, but mm-hmm. just that extra step to follow up and make sure he was better. And that way, he was ready to get back to work on Monday made a huge difference.
Yeah. So you definitely have developed that relationship with them and that comfort in them coming and knowing that they can just come to you and call and be like, hey, I got cut.
Right.
Come get me. Now, have you ever had to go to a job site, or would you be able to do that?
Depending on the scenario, yeah, that we could. I mean, it can be difficult just because we have, patients scheduled here throughout the day, just regular mm-hmm. follow-ups and those kinds of things. But yeah, if there was something that needed to, and, that was the only option, then yeah, we could work something out like that. I'm
just thinking of like somebody that had a screwdriver, like accident or something. Would you go and like, oh yeah, let me get that out of there? Yeah. But okay. I have that question a lot, actually, of whether or not, like if there was somebody on site that needed help, gotcha. Not a life-threatening emergency, but just like, we are scared to do anything,
right?
And like stop bleeding or whatever. Would you?
I mean, I usually try to get them to come here, just because we can't take all the supplies that we have.
Okay.
There, it makes it hard. You never, like, once you get, it could be one thing, and then you get out there and it's something totally different. And then, so that's where I'm like, if you can get them here, like, we'll take care of them. And,
plus you have all the stuff here if they have to do an IV right. or whatever.
Exactly.
That you stitch them up.
And one thing I would tell people too, like, if you think about it, even if you have to wait on us 30 or 45 minutes to bring them in here, that's better than 5 hours at the ER,
or 8 hours in the hallway at
right,
the ER.
Exactly. So.
I mean, you never know. Or at a urgent care that you're having to sit and wait. And mm-hmm. you don't, if you know the emergency ahead of time, because they probably either called or text, then you know that they're coming. So as soon as they get here, you can put them right in a room and be seen, which right. is great. So a lot of the stuff that we say is that we can meet all their urgent care needs. But what I love about their membership is that they can come in and it's a primary care, which they, you're trying to get these employees that maybe have never been to the doctor or they don't go frequent enough. And you're trying to help them, better health.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, sometimes we tend to focus on the urgent care stuff because that's the big bad wolf, and the emergency that everyone takes care of. But I think a lot of our bread and butter is more of the preventative care, mm-hmm. and that's, the whole idea with this is that we get you healthy so that you don't need us. We're not designed to keep you here at the office all the time. I want you to be healthy and at work, or your employer, as an employer, you want your employees to be at work, and not spending mm-hmm. time at the office, or at another doctor's office or out sick or whatever. And so if we can, focus more on that preventative stuff, optimal health, either, just making them feel better, improving mental clarity, that kind of stuff. Any of those things help dealing with stress, anxieties, other things outside of work even,
Yeah.
that's a big part, I think, of what is a bigger benefit than just the big bad wolf of the occasional urgent care that you may or may not see.
Because we do offer like trigger point injections. I'm thinking of a business right now that they are heavy lifting and they've got all those back neck injuries, or not injuries. I mean, I guess it's pain, but we do the trigger point,
Sure.
and your labs.
Yeah.
You can do,
Yeah, labs twice a year, that we're there at least twice a year that we're checking, and of course if there's something that we need to, we do that more often. We can still get in, any kind of imaging, referrals, specialist appointments, we can still coordinate and set that all up, as well.
perfect.
So if a business is looking to sign up their employees, what are the steps they would take to kind of get that started?
So usually what happens, I meet with the business first, and then we go over everything that's included in their membership. We get a list of their employees, and I have a contract that we can sign, either in person or digital. Okay, their monthly membership fee, we go ahead and take that. And then after that, Jennifer, our accounts manager, she calls each employee. We set up their first appointment just to make sure that they, get here, get comfortable. They know everything that we can communicate with them, like what their membership includes, so everybody knows what they're getting. And then after that, it's just maintenance,
Sure.
I guess.
And I think one important thing, at least from what I've seen, is that at that, at the time that they sign up, and once Jennifer contacts them, they already fill out new patient paperwork to get, kind of their background, a lot of their health data. At that time too, they get their whichever provider they're signed up under. They get their contact information then. So before they even are seen or have their first visit, they already have that opportunity to reach out and if something were to occur, before they've even come in.
Yeah, the day that they sign that contract, they have access to care.
Absolutely.
Which they love. I mean, and as an employer, just being able to be like, oh, okay, I don't have to wait 6 months or 3 months to get in with somebody. I actually can get that care today.
Absolutely.
And they get a welcome packet when they come in, which I think is very handy to have, that just paper to look at and like, oh, this is what all my benefits are. Because when you're telling somebody, normally they'll forget everything you say as soon as they leave. And so just having that in their hand and something they can put on their little refrigerator with your contact information 24/7, they can bug you.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So when an employee or an employer signs up their employees, this is offered to their family member as well. So what we have a spreadsheet that you put, whether it's an employee, a family member, or a child, because children are also involved in just acute care or urgent care. Whenever that they sign on, we also contact them. So they have an option if they want their family or their spouse or whoever, to join as well. That can be added under their membership, which would go through the employer, and then they can either have it deducted from their check or, any way that they want to be able to process those fees.
Okay.
So if a family or an employee wanted to add their family member at any moment, they can call and add them. That doesn't have to be on the day that they sign the contract. If they've thought about it and they actually like their membership and they're like, you know what, I want my family to join as well. It's a quick phone call to Jennifer to add them. They let their employer know, they're coming on board. That's also to say that if an employee decides to quit, and all they have to do, the employer knows that they just send Jennifer a quick message, email, text, whatever, just to let them know that they are no longer going to be a part of their business membership. That person can come along and have an individual membership, but it just wouldn't be under their employer. Let me ask you this, actually. So whenever I'm talking to a business and I have an employee that has a spouse and a child, the one thing that I like to make sure that they know is how do we treat children and what does that include?
Sure. So for children, we pretty much limit that just to urgent care needs, sick visits. We're not pediatricians. We're not we have a background obviously in taking care of children, but we don't keep up with growth milestones or vaccinations and that kind of stuff. And so we recommend that the kids see their pediatrician at least once a year for an evaluation. Any other kind of sick visits, urgent care needs, we can take care of. If there are specialist needs, again, we're going to refer that out, for especially for children. But any kind of, your strep throats, ear infections, that kind of stuff, we do that all day long.
So with children, when I'm talking to an employee, like the fee is $15, and that is up to 18 years. Well, 18 to 25. If they just need acute care and they're living in the home, it's also $15. Now, if they have a medication, like you said, that needs to be monitored at the age 18, they would have to become an adult member,
right,
which their price would be the same as their parents.
Okay. So when it comes to the memberships, and especially the business memberships, like who do you feel like is like the optimal client, or like the business that this is going to fit the best for?
What we are looking for are people to partner with, like CPAs, investing, like people that have access to businesses that have a trusting relationship with their clients, so that they can see that what we offer is a benefit for them, and so that they can save money for their clients, which means, and a lot of CPAs will have that relationship. Insurance companies are another one. Now that can be tricky because you're taking away, possibly taking away their how they're compensated with their premiums. But what I really see with a lot of these insurance companies that I talk to is that they would rather their clients save money in the long run, and because they're going to stay with them, because they're going to be truthful and feel trust in their agent. So even though that premium is going to go lower, they're going to trust them probably with more stuff, because they're like, oh wait, he's actually looking out for what I need as an employer or a business owner. So CPAs, insurance agents, financial people that are helping with any kind of business, small businesses, large businesses. I mean, we can service them all. Perfect. I shouldn't say service. We can take care of them all.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to note too, that even though the employer may save money by switching to a different plan and using our membership, that doesn't mean that it's cheaper or less quality care. You're not taking a shortcut. You're actually getting better quality care and saving the business money overall.
Very well said, because I think that is something that they don't understand. Because when I say, because we're not insurance, and right, that's the thing. It's like, okay, you need to understand this is not insurance. This is access to care. So what you want to keep your high deductible plan or a catastrophic plan, you could probably lower some of that so that you're not having the gold package, because you're not having to worry about paying for those everyday primary care needs or urgent care needs. You just want to be able to have something that if something major or catastrophic did happen, that you have that coverage.
So with that being said, I think it's important that these businesses are able to get their employees better access to care, attract even better talent, and retain the talent that they do have, all while saving money.
Well, I'll tell you something that is I've noticed is the companies that we've signed on and that have become part of our membership, they're referring others. So that says a lot about what you're doing, because they are able to see like, hey, this is a benefit that actually we use and enjoy. And I love the fact that when I go into the office, you're listening. And based on that, when you block off times, because this is important too, for your patient, how long do you block off for them?
I usually block off an hour at a time, and I rarely use that much time, but I have that option if needed, and so I think that's important where, we get to sit down and talk to people. We're not in and out staring at a computer, clicking buttons and on to the next person. We get that personalized care and like I said, time to just spend with people.
That is something that, like, these employees that I've talked to, the one thing that they will tell me is like, when I go into the office, it's not like, a screen and I'm just going to sit here and read the questions over to you. It's like you really want to know, about them. And a lot of these people that, they've probably never been to the doctor. So they're a little white coat syndrome, I guess, but you put them at ease. And I think that says a lot about you, about the providers that we have. It's just like, oh, okay, wait, this is just a good old boy or whatever, just somebody that's relaxed and can talk to them. And I love that. And of course, that's why I'm a member, but that they'll be able to just, take that time
Absolutely.
to listen. Because,
Absolutely. And I think, for me too, like one of the things, especially a first visit, I try to do is not always dive into the medical stuff, but look at who they are as a person, and that's one of the things I like to know is like, what do you do for work, and if it's something I'm familiar with, great. If not, then that's something I try to learn about, because I think how you make your living and support your family is kind of changes how I take care of you too,
Yeah.
and so I know the things that you need to keep being able to do that or not.
When I look at businesses, and when, a business can be considered 2 members to 100 and plus. With those smaller businesses that have only like 2 employees or 3, they can't offer anything for their employees. So this is a solution for them because they can have a membership to a benefit for healthcare. Do you see a lot of those? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I do have a few like very small businesses, that, like I said, it maybe 2 or 3 employees only, and and especially in some of the businesses that I take care of are, in this area, the farming community, and so they might not even be official employees, but they're under or they're official employees, but it's not like a corporate setting,
Yeah.
but they're still able to offer that for their guys and to make sure they're taken care of.
Because then you can still group it together. And if they wanted to pay their employer, like for their membership, they could pay half, all of it, or their employer can take care of everything. So it really
There's
can
flexibility,
be customized,
right? Exactly.
yeah, to what they need. Well, so whenever, like, some of the pushback that I get is from like part-time, like people will have part-time employees and they're like, I don't, want to really offer them anything because they come and go or whatever. But with this, they can even pay for their membership as a benefit or have the employee pay for it. Just it's deducted from their paycheck. So, I mean, it can just be adjusted to how much you want to pay, or if you want to pay like cover 100% or whatever. Questions that I have. You said we can do referrals. What about prescriptions?
Yeah, we could do prescriptions. I mean, we can send a prescription anywhere in the United States, for urgent needs. I mean, controlled medicines that has to stay, in the States or in this state or a bordering state, if something like that. But, like I have patients that are truck drivers and they may be in, Los Angeles, California this week, delivering a load. Well, they get a sinus infection. Like if they can get their big truck in the Walgreens parking lot, I can send them medicine, or.
Okay. That was a big one. And like if they have to file it on an insurance, I mean, that can still be filed, correct? If they carry.
Yeah, if you carry insurance, you can still use your insurance for anything outside of here as far as additional labs, imaging, referrals, medications, any of that stuff you can still use insurance for. A lot of times if you do have a higher deductible plan, we can guide you in cheaper, a cheaper version as far as cash pay for a lot of stuff, many times it is, and so we can float back and forth to whatever works best for the patient.
We also have a lot of partners that are with us that carry like, different plans that may meet your needs based on, what, if they need like a certain policy, I guess, written. So we can look into that. Our website has a group planned tab that, explains a little bit of what we offer to businesses. I am able to talk to any business, like I can come to you or, we can set up a time just to talk over the phone about what that membership looks like. So I'm open to talk to any
Sure. And I think, the website is a great thing. And, especially when you look at signing up, let your employees go in there and meet the providers basically. And, you're not just assigned to somebody. This is not like, getting a homeroom teacher. Like you can kind of get a feel for who you're going to feel more comfortable with, who you align with better, and pick your provider. So, that each employee feels, that they get that personalized care they're looking for.
And you can go on the website and see each provider's bio and get to know them that way before you get into the office, and you have to pick, and it's not in ironclad, I guess, that you have to see that one provider.
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, we would love the opportunity to give any business a custom quote, either, even if it's a small business, 2 to 4 members, to 100 plus. I think that what we offer here would be something that can really benefit your company, and it's something to look into, and it's the future.
Thanks for tuning in to the Genesis Healthcare Podcast, empowering you to live optimally. Ready to take the next step? Visit thegenesisdifference.com today to learn more.